Hey everybody, my name is TribalInstincts, and today I am recapping for you E3, specifically the bits that are important for us Vive owners. For the two of you out there that don't know what E3 is, it is the yearly expo that is specifically focused on video games. While this year's E3 for the Vive, it wasn't a complete disappointment, it also didn't completely excite me as much as I was hoping. There are some really good things coming along the way, but maybe not as much as I'd hoped. Last thing before I jump into this, big shout out to the people in Discord who have helped me source some of the videos and the documents and just sort of following E3 for me. Work is hectic right now, so it's really hard for me to keep on this, and I don't want to do videos like this without doing proper research. So the people in Discord, they helped surface the news that is more pertinent than not. So thank you so much for helping me out with this. All right, let's get the biggest stories out of the way right at the very front. Bethesda has come out with a pretty big punch at this E3. We have Doom VFR, Fallout 4, and Skyrim coming for VR. So Doom VFR is coming later this year. It's one of the only titles that doesn't have a release window, at least by at least a month. But Doom VFR is coming out later this year, and it appears to be a fairly promising and truthful edition of the Doom franchise. Gibbs are gonna fly, right? That's pretty much what Doom is. The graphics look nice, the monsters look nice and polished and gory and all the good things that you're expecting from a Doom game. You have all the weapons, everything looks to be as chaotic as normal. There is teleportation, however, it seems like it's not just going to be teleport from A to B. It looks like there's some other things in the environments that potentially throw you up, move you around. So there's not a clear picture yet as to how the locomotion system is going to be handled, but ultimately the gameplay does actually look very solid. And even though there is teleportation, which I know a lot of people hate it these days, it does seem like they've done a good job of incorporating a good mechanism for moving around without completely destroying the typical gameplay. Next on my list, Fallout 4 VR. This is going to be probably the first real, true AAA game that Vive owners are going to get. With the release window of this October, it's just around the corner. Now, as crazy as this is, I've never actually played any of the Fallout games. I always wanted to, but for whatever reason, I just never made the time to do it. So for me personally, I'm probably more excited for Fallout 4 than most people coming to VR, just because now, with all the YouTube stuff that I'm doing, I finally have a reason to jump into a game and play it, and I'm probably going to be dedicating a lot of time to this one because the game looks fantastic. The RPG elements, the weapon system, it looks like they've done a really good job of making this a solid port from traditional gaming to VR. Now, not so great news, if you have already played Fallout 4, it looks like the Fallout VR edition is going to be the same price, $59.99. Now, while I think that that is a completely reasonable price for the first time of buying a game, if you already have the game on PC and you're just buying it for the VR components, then this might not make you the most happy. I really hope that they come out saying that, oh, if you already have it, then an extra 10 bucks or, you know, whatever it is to get the upgrade. But as of right now, it looks like it's 60 bucks, no matter what. And last but not least, but kind of least, we have Skyrim VR. Skyrim VR is set to release this November on the PlayStation VR. Now, before you completely pull out all the pitchforks, this is a timed exclusive, so we are going to get it eventually, but just not yet. Thanks, Oculus. Now, for me, this actually hits me pretty hard. Elder Scrolls series has been sort of, well, honestly, it's probably one of my favorite franchises since, well, I guess since the Xbox One. The Morrowind was the first one that I played. And I have loved every edition that has come out so far, and to find out that they are going to be making it, but I can't play it on my Vive, heartbreaking. That said, I explained this to my wife, and her response was that it looks like we're going to be getting a PlayStation VR. So congratulations, exclusivity, you have won once again. While I personally think I probably would have had the willpower to avoid buying an entire game system just for one game, my wife is into Elder Scrolls as much or more than I am, and she kind of makes the call. I really hate exclusivity. Moving on to Ubisoft. Now, nothing that I saw from them is actually going to hit this year, so a little bit bummed that, you know, at E3 this year, they're going to say spring of next year, which I guess that makes sense. It's not too uncommon, but I want VR now. So Ubisoft is collaborating with a company called Spectrovision on a game called Transference. Fun fact, the creative director of Transference is Elijah Wood. Now, despite the obvious concern of this game being directed by a Hobbit, I am actually fairly interested to see where this goes. This is going to be a psychological mind mess. From the short trailer that they've released, it looks like they are really going to mess with your mind. And they're upfront with you about it. Like, they tell you ahead of time that they're going to mess with you. So I'm one part excited, two parts incredibly nervous to play this thing whenever it comes out in spring of 2018. Ubisoft also announced a game called Space Junkies. And by announce, I mean they released a title and some features, and they said this is going to be a game next year. Really, the only details that I've seen about this game, I'm sort of just getting from their little bullet points, as well as the image that is, you know, their background. And this, like, my first thought, based off the description of this, is that it's going to be somewhat like an Ender's Game scene in VR. Specifically like the training area where they're in like the middle of this big sphere with like little planets all around. It seems like we could be getting something kind of like that with real guns instead of stunning. That's just a theory, though, based off the bullet points. Let me know if you guys got a different impression. Next up, we have Skye Dance Interactive. Don't know what Skye Dance Interactive is? Neither did I had to look it up. So it seems like they've actually had their hand in a number of games over the years, primarily like porting games from PC to the consoles. In addition, it also looks like they were responsible for the iconic motorcycle chase and elevator escape sequences in Gears of War 4. Now, while none of the things in their resume really screams, I'm going to trust you that you're going to make an amazing game, I'm pretty excited for the things that they've announced. The trailers have looked amazing. Well, trailer. Archangel is coming out for VR, which is a mech combat game. Now, this really seems more like a first-person shooter where you're in a mech body. I'm not sure if there's going to be any extra elements where it's more of the mech-like where you can get out and customize your mech, but it does seem like an absolutely gorgeous game where you're walking around as a giant and, you know, you're having to fight in military settings as a giant robot. No price has been released on this yet. They do have a release date, and I'm a little bit upset with how deceptive they've been. In their nice announcement trailer, at the very end, it says, coming in July, and at the bottom it has HTC, Oculus, PlayStation VR. However, whenever I went and I did some more research, I found that on their Facebook post, there's this. So yeah, it looks like next month it's coming out on PlayStation VR, and then in August we get it for the Rift and the Vive. Skye Dance Interactive also seems to be involved with multiple Walking Dead games. Now, there is scant little information on what these games are actually going to be like. However, from the little that I was able to see, it looks like these are going to be highly narrative games. So playing an episode of Walking Dead in VR, which that could actually be really cool. Walking Dead means zombies, which the first thing that pops in your head because of all the things we have in VR is yet another zombie shooter. However, if they're able to make this to where like your choices matter, which something that I read says that is the case, and that you're actually doing it at a more slow pace and you're more deliberate, and it's more about the people, less on shooting the zombies, the way that Walking Dead is, this could actually be pretty cool. So I'm anxious to see what comes from this. There's no real information yet on what these games are going to be, but I am excited nonetheless. And lastly, for the games, Stress Level 0 has come out of hiding. They are coming out with Duck Season. If you're older than around 30, then you've played Duck Hunt on the original Nintendo, and you loved every minute of it. Stress Level 0 has decided to revive that game in a very interesting way. Remember that horrible little dog that would laugh at you every time that you didn't do so well? Well, he's back. He's back in a creepy costume, and he still laughs at you. And apparently, it's pretty common for people to shoot at the dog. And this time, the dog fights back. This game is all about, well, for one, shooting ducks, but then also the ramifications of what happens whenever you shoot that dog and how this dog comes out of the virtual reality game and hunts you in the real world. So yeah, I was not expecting a psychological thriller version of Duck Hunt at any point in my lifetime. But I'm excited that they're doing it. Even more exciting is that this is the first game that I've seen so far that is making use of the Vive tracker. They're releasing what looks to be very, very similar to the original NES light gun that came out with it. This light gun has a slot for a Vive tracker on top. I have no idea what they're going to be charging for this peripheral. And I also don't know how compatible it's going to be with other games. I'm hoping that the developers don't just release these, oh, you can use this one single device in only my game and nothing else. Otherwise, there's no way that anything like that will be worth it. We need something that is universal-ish, that we can take this gun, shoot some ducks with it, and then go over to Onward and use it as our sidearm. That needs to happen. Otherwise, it's just going to be a complete waste of money every single time that they come out with these, and it's just never going to take on. So I haven't seen a price for Duck Season yet. However, in an interview, he does say within the next couple months. So hopefully this summer or shortly after, we're going to be able to play Duck Season and be stalked by a guy in a dog costume. All right, now I know I said E3 is typically just for video games. However, Intel has decided to announce their display link. There's been rumors about it for a while, but this is the first time that I've seen real footage of the Display Link, the newer version with the HTC Vive. Now, the unit does seem to be a little bit bulky. You have this pretty bulbous thing sitting on the top of your head, but it does seem to be self-contained. Unlike the TP Cast, I didn't see any wires going down like with battery packs in their pockets. It looks like the whole thing sits on the top of your head. From what I've seen, they say the production version will have a roughly 2-hour lifespan and less than 7 milliseconds in latency. I haven't heard any reports that the added latency does anything detrimental to, any nausea or your ability to play the video games. One potential downside if you're using a smaller case for your computer, this is going to require a PCIe slot, so if you don't have room for this thing, you just won't be able to use it. No firm release date, but they do say within the next 12 months. So it looks like TPcast is probably going to beat them to it by a good amount of time. So we'll see if it's worth upgrading to this thing once it comes out. All right, guys, I'm done here. Let me know if this was useful. Let me know if I missed anything. If I missed anything, it's not because I forgot to put it in the video. I had made a detailed list of this thing. If I missed it, it means I haven't seen it. So drop me a comment if there's anything pertinent for the HTC Vive that's coming out, and I would love to hear about it. But all right, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button below. If you didn't, hit the down vote and tell me what I can do to make them better. And if you want to see more, hit subscribe and the bell icon, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.